Sargon's empire would last for almost 600 years, leaving behind a legacy that not only inspired later empires, but also shaped the very fabric of civilization. Imagine yourself stepping back in time to the year 2334 BCE, just after the end of the Ice Age, when humans were starting to settle down and form communities. You find yourself in ancient Mesopotamia, a region nestled between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. This area, now known as Iraq, is where civilization as we know it began. During this time, Mesopotamia was divided into several independent city-states, each with its own ruler and laws. These city-states were culturally rich, developing some of the earliest forms of government, writing, and monumental architecture. However, despite their achievements, they were vulnerable to attacks from neighboring states and nomadic tribes. That's when a young man named Sargon of Akkad steps onto the scene. Sargon's story is nothing short of legendary. According to the tales passed down through generations, he was not born into power, but rather began his life in obscurity. The story goes that he was the son of a priestess who conceived him through a divine encounter with the moon god Nanna. When his mother realized she was pregnant, she placed the baby Sargon in a basket, coated it with bitumen, and cast it adrift on the Euphrates River. The basket was discovered by the king and queen of Kish, who took pity on the child and raised him as their own. Legend has it that even as a young boy, Sargon displayed signs of greatness, such as commanding the wind and rain or subduing a rebellious lion. These stories, while fantastical, serve to emphasize the divine mandate Sargon believed he had to rule over the land of Sumer. Upon reaching adulthood, he became the cupbearer to the king of Kish, a position that put him directly in the line of succession. But Sargon's ambitions didn't end there. He dreamed of uniting the city-states of Sumer under one banner and establishing an empire that would bring peace and prosperity to the region. However, the path to greatness was fraught with challenges. The king of Kish was reluctant to relinquish power, and many members of the royal court saw Sargon as a threat to their own ambitions. Despite these obstacles, Sargon's determination never wavered. He plotted for years, carefully maneuvering himself into a position where he could make his move. Finally, the opportunity he had been waiting for arrived. While the king was away on a military campaign, Sargon led a rebellion, seizing control of the palace and ending the dynasty of Kish. He then set his sights on conquering the other city-states of Sumer, which fell one by one before his military might. With each victory, his empire grew, uniting the disparate city-states into a single, powerful entity. Sargon's military prowess was undeniable, but it was his administrative skills that truly set him apart. He appointed loyal governors to oversee the provinces of his empire, ensuring that taxes were collected and laws were enforced. Additionally, he established a professional army composed of foot soldiers, charioteers, and cavalry, which helped to maintain order throughout his vast domain. But Sargon wasn't just a ruthless conqueror. He was also a visionary leader who understood the importance of cultural exchange and economic growth. In fact, his empire was the first in history to be considered truly multinational, with people from different cultures and backgrounds living and working together under one ruler. This diversity brought a wealth of ideas and innovations to his court, stimulating artistic and scientific progress like never before. One of the most significant contributions of the Akkadian Empire was the standardization of weights and measures throughout Mesopotamia. This allowed for easier trade both within the empire and with neighboring regions. It also helped to establish a sense of uniformity and order, which was essential to the empire's stability. Another important innovation introduced during the Akkadian period was the use of wheeled vehicles. While the invention of the wheel is often attributed to the Sumerians, it was the Akkadians who developed more sophisticated designs, such as the chariot, which had a significant impact on warfare and transportation. However, perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Akkadians was their contribution to literature and mythology. The Epic of Gilgamesh, a collection of epic poems that tells the story of the legendary King Gilgamesh, is widely considered to be the oldest surviving work of literature in the world. While the epic was composed over several centuries, the Akkadian period saw the addition of several key scenes and motifs, such as the story of the Great Flood. These stories not only entertained, but also served as a way to transmit cultural values and beliefs from one generation to the next. As Sargon's empire reached its peak, he began to turn his attention to the task of legitimizing his rule. To this end, he constructed massive public works projects, such as temples, palaces, and defensive walls, which served to impress the people he ruled over and demonstrate his power. For example, his palace at Akkad was a sprawling complex surrounded by gardens and courtyards, while the city's defensive walls were over 10 feet high, providing protection against any potential invaders. Perhaps the most iconic symbol of Sargon's rule, however, was the stele at Tel al-Ubaid. This large stone monument bears a cuneiform inscription that proclaims Sargon's military victories and establishes his divine right to rule. By commissioning such projects, Sargon not only enhanced the prestige of his empire, but also provided jobs for thousands of people, contributing to the overall prosperity of his domain. Despite the grandeur of these projects, however, there were growing tensions at the edges of the empire. The nomadic tribes to the north and east felt increasingly threatened by the power of Akkad, and many of the subject city-states chafed under the heavy hand of the central government. Unfortunately, Sargon's successors were unable to quell these rebellions, and within a few decades, the Akkadian Empire collapsed. Nevertheless, the legacy of Sargon of Akkad lived on. His innovations in administration, technology, and culture had a profound impact on the course of Mesopotamian history, paving the way for the rise of new empires and shaping the very fabric of civilization. Now let us take a look at some of the ways that Sargon's empire continues to shape our world today. One of the most significant contributions of the Akkadian Empire was the development of the first true empire in human history. By uniting the city-states of Sumer under one rule, Sargon created a model for subsequent empires, such as those of the Assyrians and Babylonians, and laid the foundation for the concept of a multinational state. In fact, the term empire itself is derived from the name Akkad, reflecting the lasting impact of this ancient realm. Another way that Sargon's empire continues to shape our world today is through its contributions to literature and mythology. The Epic of Gilgamesh, which was composed during the Akkadian period, is considered to be one of the foundational texts of world literature. Its themes of heroism, mortality, and the search for meaning continue to resonate with readers today, and its influence can be seen in countless works of art and literature that have come after. The Akkadian Empire's contributions to mathematics and astronomy are also still felt today. Akkadian scholars made significant advances in understanding the properties of numbers and the motions of celestial bodies, and their discoveries laid the groundwork for later developments in these fields. For example, they developed a sexagesimal number system based on 60, which is still used today for measuring time and angles. Perhaps most importantly, though, the Akkadian Empire serves as a reminder of the incredible achievements of ancient civilizations. Often overlooked in favor of more famous empires like Egypt and Greece, the Akkadians nevertheless accomplished remarkable feats of engineering, art, and governance. By learning about their history and appreciating their contributions, we gain a deeper understanding of the roots of modern civilization and the interconnectedness of all human cultures. In conclusion, Sargon of Akkad was a legendary figure who united the city-states of Sumer and established the first true empire in history. His empire not only left a lasting mark on the ancient Near East, but also laid the foundation for many of the cultural and scientific achievements of later civilizations. From his innovative administrative practices to his contributions to literature and mythology, Sargon's legacy continues to shape our world today. As we look back on the achievements of this remarkable leader, we are reminded of the incredible potential of the human spirit and the enduring power of cultural exchange and innovation. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future content. Thank you for watching.